Oh, right. Well, in the realm of bad movies out there, there's certainly movies that got a lot worse attention than they deserved. And some of the movies that we've watched over the years are really good to come back to in some fashion. And although people at the time may have had it too good and thought that they could have been better, when you look back at a movie sometimes, it ends up being actually pretty fucking awesome. And no movie to me is that so much like The Scorpion King, a movie that came out that stars sexy Dwayne Rock the Cock Johnson, who's actually spectacular in this movie. And with his career on such a hiatus and a meh stage right now, after that stupid Red One movie, I thought it was time to go back and look at Dwayne Rock Johnson's spectacular outings and see how amazing this movie actually was. Now, the Scorpion King had got eviscerated by reviews and sits at an absolutely abhorrent score on across all the different review aggregates. And it's a movie that actually did make some money. I mean, it doubled its budget basically, but it was a movie that kind of had a little bit of mixed reception. I mean, it was based on the character from that god awful CGI from times past, and of course it capitalized on Dwayne the Sexy Rock Johnson, who's actually spectacular in this movie, and was at a point in his career when he was actually doing really, really, really good. But the Scorpion King actually goes deeper than that, and it offers us a very interesting and very awesome early 2000s adventure movie that is just chock full of gaming awesomeness and, in general, just a very, very, very great production. The set pieces in this movie are absolutely dazzling. Some of the scenes truly taking my breath away, and the costume design and the world built here, it's just a very beautiful, self-contained adventure. And no matter what you think about the Mummy movies or the Mummy at large, there's actually a really, really great story to be told here, and I'm glad it's a movie that we got to see. It has that little bit of comedy mixed in with that intense action historical set piece that made the Mummy movie so great in the first place. And it's a movie that's so perfectly easily to go back to. I'd have to give this movie like a solid 8 out of 10, maybe even 9. It's such a spectacular old viewing experience. And it has to truly be said what an amazing actor the gigantic Samoan beast himself, Dwayne Johnson, is. He is just such an epic, epic character in this. His beautiful physique going along well with his curated acting performance. It's hard to believe that he started off as a wrestler, as he puts in a great performance here. And it has to be said, people will say it's cheesy, people will say it's a stupid old movie, people will say that it's a shitty old movie, but you know what? I gotta give credit where credit is due. Dwayne the Rock Johnson truly was at his stride here, and he is just fucking epic on every scene. He's a sweet hero. Plays the role really good. You know, he's really intense in it. You could tell he's having a great time of his life. He's a movie star doing fantasy stuff, and you know, it just warms my heart to see Dwayne Johnson having so much fun back in the day, making millions of dollars and enjoying it along the way. The showdown he has with Michael Clark Duncan is actually epic, and these two behemoths going at it is such a wicked scene, and you could just tell their chemistry is on point in the movie, as they're both just absolute warriors and living in their absolute prime of their life starring this movie together. And it truly looks like, if you look around while you're watching the movie, every single person in this movie looks like they're having a great time, and it's got to be an awesome experience to go and film all this and put on all this cool costumes. Stephen Brand, of course, puts on a wonderful performance as Memnon. And you know what? I think that everything in this movie, like every casting choice, just worked so good in this movie. Is that there's a little bit of characters that are obscure, but there's also, you know, Rock in his performance. He would become a super mega movie star. And like everything in this does work. As a contained story, this Scorpion King is fantastic. And of course, how could we miss Bernard Hill, the absolute legend, Theoden himself, who puts on his stellar performance as a mad scientist inventing gunpowder? It all just is very heartwarming, and it's the type of movie that you honestly like. Just shut your brain off, just watch it, and you will find very, very interesting things. It plays out like a video game. So, despite what people may think about the Scorpion King, yes, it's a schlock early 2000s movie, but you know what? It's heartwarming, it's good, it has so much soul, and it's just an enjoyable watch. The set design is beautiful, it takes you to another experience, and I couldn't stop thinking while I was playing this, fuck, I want to play Conan. It harkens back to a type of movie that is kind of rare nowadays, and it's hard for them to come by. That just kind of goofy action set piece that based on time and history. And you know what? It couldn't be more mummy if it tried, because you know what? Those movies were based upon such an interesting concept. We had everything in the movies. You had action, you had great acting, you had goofiness, fun for the whole family, action, everything was just stuffed in one experience and one consolidated adventure. And truly, truly, the Scorpion King, on its own merits, ignore everything else that came before it or stood around it. And you know what? I say this is a solid fucking movie, and I will stand by that. Dwayne the Rock Johnson puts in a fucking career-defining performance, and you know what? I think that it is one. It's one of those magical movies from the 90s and early 2000s. It's just so rewatchable nowadays. You know, they're awesome to go back to watch because you love Dwayne Johnson. He becomes such a great man, and to see him in his early performances here, where he's truly trying to get immersed in the world, and everyone in on the set looks like they're enjoying making this production. It just warms your heart, and I think you should go check out Scorpion King if you haven't seen it. Don't listen to the fucking reviews. Form your opinions for yourself, and this is the prime example of how sometimes you just gotta watch it, observe it, and like it for yourself. And if anything, it's just to kind of have a simple, consolidated story that is very entertaining, very awesome. And you know what? Scorpion King is going to live in the annals of history for sure, because this is a totally rewatchable movie, and I had a blast watching it. And if anything, in remembrance of that god awful CGI of Dwayne the Rock Cock Johnson. And you know what? That is fucking hilarious. But stand outside of everything. It's a great movie.